how are we going to do this, and put together a plan that was going to require us to recruit 3 times as many people as we'd ever recruited any time in the past, have the time to put into study and to be engaged in discipleship. And it's really interesting because that year we recruited 3 times as many people as we ever had before. And then the next year was really scary because we had to suffer through wondering, is that a fluke? Or is this thing real? And the next year we again recruited that many staff again. And I think God was really coming to us and saying, hey, what the things you plan for, I'm going to answer your need. And if you plan for a little, I can supply that need. And for many years, we worked tremendously hard to run really excellent programs with the kids here in Kodiak. And I'm thankful to say that we're still working just as hard, but we're taking the time to hear from God, to explore what He's doing, not just in our own group, but a wider circle beyond what's happening right here. We're taking the time to invest in who God has called us to be. Travel time, people sometimes I think are a little bit critical of my very uncreative, uninvented style of how we approach the Scriptures, and that is the whole thing. And we read through the Bible from beginning to end. And you're with us for a 2-year period. You'll hear the whole thing. And why is that? And to me, it's really important that we get the whole thing. That we get the great stories and the inspiration. But then also that we get the opportunity to be confronted by God's Word. We need to be confronted by it. And we don't just pick and choose. And that's challenging. And one of the things that we did in starting this is we picked up Shane's book. And I read through a little bit of that and said, man, that's challenging. It's even threatening. This is, how do we deal with this? And some people look around and say, this is an institution, and a lot of what Shane has to say is probably maybe a little bit challenging to institutions. And our response to that, and what I'm at for is, all right, well, let's see if he'll come and talk to us, and that we can be confronted by God's Word, and also by what God is doing out there in the rest of the world, and how He's revealing Himself to other people through their lives. And so we asked Shane to come. I think we're all always asking. We all want to know. We ask ourselves, what is church? And I think we know the answer. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves what that answer is. Along with that, I think we always need to be asking ourselves, too, what can church do? And so I want to welcome Shane.
Around here. Awesome. Sweet place to be. Find them all. I went out on a boat today with these guys and nearly killed me. If you don't know how to pray, just go out and boat with this guy and learn. But I'm excited to share a little bit tonight, and wanted to think about what I think is one of the most important things to be talking about in the entire world, which is grace. I think we live in a world that's just starved to death for grace, and Christians haven't always been known for grace, though maybe we should be. And so I think it's worthwhile that we dream about grace a little bit tonight. And I'm accustomed to opening up the conversation at the end, so I'm giving you the heads up, so that you know if you want to respond or share something or ask a question or whatever, you'll have a chance in a little bit. There's a story that I remember growing up. I grew up in East Tennessee, and I remember hearing this story as a kid about a homeless guy that came to worship, and kind of strolled into the Sunday service and sat down up front. And everybody kind of looked at him like he didn't belong. And the pastor came up, and the pastor said, "Sir, I don't know if you've been here before, but this is the house of God. So I want you to do something. I want you to go out this week and ask God what you should wear when you come to church." So we passed next week. The Sunday came, and the homeless guy came in and sang this week before, wearing all the street clothes, had his plastic bags with him, and sat down up front. And the pastor said again, "Sir, did you do what I told you to do and ask God what you should wear when you come to church?" And the homeless guy said, "Yeah, Pastor, I did." And God said he didn't know because he's never been to your church. It occurs to me that we're really good at kind of ostracizing the very people that were magnetized to Jesus, and making folks feel like they don't belong in a place where everyone should feel welcome. And I remember a study that was done just a few years ago by a Barna research group. That's kind of like the Gallup of Christianity. It's this big research firm, and what they did was they went to every state in the U.S. and they asked young non-Christians, "What are your perceptions of Christians? What do you think of when you hear the word Christian?" And what they found is just heartbreaking. As they asked young non-Christians in every state in the U.S., I believe, what their perceptions were, the number one answer of what young non-Christians think of when they hear Christian is Christians are anti-gay, anti-homosexual. That was the number one answer. The number two answer was that Christians are judgmental. And number three is Christians are hypocrites. I'll stop there because the list doesn't get much better. But what it shows is that we've got a really bad image crisis, in the world. And much of it's well-deserved. I mean, it is some of what people have seen and heard as they kind of waded in the water of Christianity. And it should just break our hearts, I think, those of us that are trying to follow after Jesus. Because I'm pretty sure that's when people met Jesus, that's not what they walked away with. They didn't encounter Jesus walk away going, "Man, you sure doesn't like the gay people." He was known for his love and his grace. And yet, many of us Christians, we've become more known for what we're against than what we're for who we've excluded and who we've embraced. And so I think it's exciting, though, because there are more and more folks that it seems like you all, that want a Christianity that looks like Jesus again. That want a Christianity that's known by our love and by our grace. And I think that really begins by kind of having new eyes. Beginning to see people with eyes that are different, the eyes of God and the Spirit, who would maybe see people not just as the outside, but see every person is made in the image of God. And that doesn't always come easy. I can remember when I moved from East Tennessee to North Philadelphia. I mean, literally from the mountains, of East Tennessee to the concrete jungle of North Philadelphia. And I saw all kinds of stuff that I had never seen before. I began to have friendships with homeless folks, and I never had that happen. Growing up, I remember one of my first experiences living in our neighborhood was one of my community mates and I were walking to the grocery store, and in order to get to the food store, we had to walk down Kensington Avenue, which is one of the toughest streets in our city. It's known, infamously for the drug trafficking and prostitution and everything that goes on under the avenue. And so we used to walk under the ave to get to the store. So one day we're walking to the store, and this woman propositions me as a woman on the avenue, and happened to happen a lot in East Tennessee, so we just sort of said no, and awkwardly went on to the store, got all our food, got back to the house, and noticed that as we unpacked our food, the bag of bread that I had gotten had a little tear in the side of the plastic bag, and all the bread had gotten all crusty and stale. And so I looked at it and I'm like, "Wow, great," and my housemate just take it back. And I'm thinking, awesome. That means we got to walk back, that same way. And so we do. We go together. We go back out. We exchange the love for bread. And as we're walking home, we see that woman down in the alleyway. And at this moment, she's like hunkered down in the cold, and she's just shivering. And we know full well we can't just pass her by. So we go down in the alleyway, and we bend down next to her. And we start talking with her, and we ask her her name, and she starts pouring out her story, and then before long, we can see how cold she is, so we just said, hey, if you need a safe place to come back to, you can come back to our house, and we've got some people you can talk to if you need to talk to somebody. If you're cold, you can get warm. If you're hungry, have some good bread, and so she jumped